Discover the incredible, life-changing love story that will touch your heart in 7 amazing moments. Emma's heart raced as she navigated through the bustling local community picnic, her children's laughter ringing in her ears like a sweet melody. Vibrant holiday lights flickered overhead, dancing in rhythm with the alluring scent of sizzling hot dogs and sweet cotton candy. For a fleeting moment, she reveled in the joy surrounding her, yet the weight of her daily struggles loomed larger than ever. In her 34 years, every hour spent working long shifts as a waitress etched deeper lines of determination on her face, a testament to her unwavering strength as a single mother in an economically struggling suburb of Detroit. In the middle of the noise, her gaze met a ruggedly handsome man standing by the grill, his weathered hands gripping the spatula with steely resolve. Jacob, a war veteran in his late 30s, stood alone, lost in thought. Both were warriors in their own right, battling the demons of disappointment and sacrifice. Little did they know, their unexpected meeting would ignite an unanticipated spark, lighting the way for a life-altering connection. As Emma approached, their eyes locked, and something shifted in the air. A moment passed, a brief, breathless pause that felt heavy with possibility. The laughter around them faded, leaving only an intoxicating silence filled with unspoken words. "Hey, I'm Jacob," he finally said, flashing a crooked smile that melted Emma's heart. "You come here often?" His voice, warm like a summer breeze, made her pulse quicken. Before they knew it, the two shared stories beneath the twinkling lights, mouths filled with laughter and sadness alike. Hours melted away as they poured their hearts out, unveiling their pasts. Jacob's mechanic business lost to the recession, Emma's daily fight to keep her kids fed, educated, and happy. In that moment, they discovered companionship amidst their struggles, feeling lighter and emboldened. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. However, not everyone was convinced of their blossoming romance. Emma's parents watched skeptically from afar, their furrowed brows a testament to their concerns about Jacob's fragile financial situation. They believed she deserved more than the uncertainty they felt lingered in the air like a dense fog. Meanwhile, Jacob wrestled with remnants of shame, the weight of his past threatening to overshadow the dreams that once burned brightly within him. Then, just as Emma thought their bond would lead to hope, fate took a cruel turn. Jacob's former mentor, a beloved elder in the community, faced eviction, stirring whispers of discontent from neighbors. Together, Emma and Jacob rallied their spirits, determined to organize a fundraiser to support him. Yet as Emma stood adjacent to a sea of doubt, her heart raced with fear. Could they uplift themselves together and weather the tempest brewing between their families? As the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing everything in golden light, a heart-wrenching choice loomed large. Would love conquer disdain and skepticism, or would the fragile budding romance between Emma and Jacob shatter under the weight of judgment? They exchanged a glance filled with silent promises, hearts intertwined with uncertainty. The air crackled with raw potential, leaving them teetering on the edge. What lies ahead could change everything. Emma stood at the edge of the playground, her heart pounding like the muffled beats of a distant drum. Children played, their laughter mingling with the soft rustle of leaves overhead. Every giggle tugged at her, a gentle reminder of the uncomplicated joy she so desperately craved. She glanced at Jacob, still speaking enthusiastically with some friends across the yard, his easy smile drawing her in like a beacon, but doubt coiled tightly around her heart. The weight of her parents' skepticism echoed in her mind. Was she truly ready to invite that chaos into her life? Did Jacob's temporary struggles signify a permanent flaw in his character? Could she afford to get hurt again? "Mom. Look at me." A small voice broke through her thoughts, startling her back to reality. It was her youngest, Amelia, swinging high enough to touch the sky in her small, pink dress, her joy contagious. Emma smiled, her worries eased for a fleeting moment. When did things become so complicated? The simple memories of picnic days with her children felt overshadowed by the intricate tapestry of adult responsibilities and romantic entanglements. Deep down, though, she knew that the connection spark had ignited in her heart during her moments with Jacob was worth the risk. She took a deep breath and called, "You're flying, sweetheart. Just don't go too high." The laughter of her children surrounded her, filling her with warmth, yet her gaze kept drifting to Jacob. He had become a vivid thread in the fabric of her life, a thread she dared not yank too hastily. Later, Jacob approached her with a challenge in his eyes. "Emma, how do you feel about planning another get-together? Maybe a community barbecue?" His enthusiasm was infectious, yet Emma's gut twisted again at the thought of her parents' disapproval. "Sounds great," but she hesitated, unsure how to frame all the concerns swirling in her head. "What will people think? You know how unforgiving our neighborhood can be." Jacob's face fell slightly, hurt flashing across his features, though he quickly masked it with a determined grin. "Let them think what they want. We're doing this for Mr. Thompson, and if anyone truly cares about this community, they'll back us." His resolve stirred something deep inside Emma. The vulnerability she saw in him echoed her own fears and gripped her heart tighter. What if they could really make a difference together? She wanted so desperately to believe it was possible, to reach out and grasp that hope. As they began sketching out their plan, Emma found herself drawn deeper into Jacob's world. The way he spoke with passion about the fundraiser reached places within her that had felt closed off for far too long. They dove into ideas, laughter tumbling from their lips, igniting hope with each shared word. Later that night, Emma lay in bed, her thoughts swirling as the moonlight filtered through her curtains, creating dancing shadows in her room. Could this truly bring change? She envisioned the event, neighbors uniting over food, speeches of love and support. It was a far cry from the whispered judgments that normally followed her every decision, yet with every thread that bore hope, fear tightened its hold. What if this was an elaborate dream destined to fizzle out when faced with cold reality? With a sigh, she surrendered to sleep, her heart racing with possibility. But just before she drifted off, a thought pierced the calm. What if the path to happiness lay in the risk of truly opening her heart to Jacob? As the days passed, preparations took shape, filled with laughter, community spirit, and unexpected moments of understanding. But just as the event approached, a shadow loomed over Emma's heart. What would happen to their dreams if an unexpected crisis turned everything upside down? The clock ticked, and soon, both Emma and Jacob would face a truth they never saw coming. Emma woke to the sound of rain tapping against her window. The soft rhythm was soothing, yet anxiety clawed at her insides. Today was the day, and the weather had taken a turn. She sighed, pulling the covers tighter around her. "It's just rain," she whispered to herself, but it felt more significant somehow. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, breaking the morning silence. It was a message from Jacob. "The rain won't stop us. Meet me at the park shelter. I've got a plan." A flicker of warmth spread through her chest. That's the Jacob she had come to admire, the one who faced challenges head-on. Rolling out of bed, she decided to put aside her worries, at least for a few hours. Grabbing her trusty raincoat, she steeled herself for whatever awaited her outside. When she arrived at the park, the air smelled fresh and invigorating. Puddles dotted the ground, reflecting the overcast sky. She spotted Jacob under the shelter, adjusting tables and chairs, a focused look on his face. "Hey!" he called out, grinning as he waved her over. "Got everything set up for the barbecue. It'll be a party, rain or shine." Emma felt a swell of anticipation. In the midst of her uncertainty, she realized his enthusiasm was more than infectious, it was a lifeline. They worked side by side, chatting about salads and desserts, their laughter rising above the pitter-patter of rain. Just then, one of the neighborhood kids, a boy named Charlie, darted into the shelter, soaked to the bone but beaming. "Is the barbecue gonna happen?" he asked breathlessly, his wild hair sticking up in hilarious directions. Jacob nodded, kneeling to Charlie's level. Absolutely. We just have to wait for more people to show up. Bring your friends. Okay. Charlie bolted back into the rain, laughter trailing behind him. Emma laughed, feeling lighter with each passing moment. It felt good to see children excited, knowing the community would gather soon. Jacob looked at her, eyes sparkling. See? It begins with that spark of joy. But just then, the once gentle rain turned fierce, drumming hard on the roof overhead. Emma's heart sank. Would people still come out? Jacob's expression shifted. Don't worry. They'll come. We'll make this work. He reached for her hand, his grip firm and reassuring. With their combined efforts, they pulled out tarps and umbrellas, creating a dry space for food and laughter. The rain kept coming, but she caught herself smiling, riding the waves of Jacob's unwavering optimism. Gradually, people arrived, umbrellas in hand, laughter spilling into the cold air. Emma watched as children darted to the playground nearby while parents gathered under the shelter, sharing stories and warmth despite the downpour. She turned to Jacob, his wet hair clinging to his forehead, and found herself feeling something new, something deeper. You really believe this was the right thing to do, huh? She asked softly, letting the warmth of his presence envelop her. Every moment spent together is worth it. Even the rain can't bring us down, he replied with a wink. That's when it happened. In the midst of the laughter, a loud crash echoed through the park. A tree branch snapped, splitting open and crashing onto one of the nearby tables. Gasps filled the air as people froze, and a hush fell over the crowd. Emma's heart raced. Jacob! She yelled, adrenaline gripping her chest. She darted towards the sound, instinctively seeking safety for the kids near the park. As she ran, she saw a figure lying near the table, someone beneath that branch. Her breath caught, fear flooding her senses. Would she be strong enough to face whatever awaited her on the other side of this moment? Would their dreams sustain them if this turned out worse than she feared? The rain poured down, but now it felt like it carried more than just water. It carried uncertainty, urgency, and a rush of impending change. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she reached the fallen branch. The world around her blurred, and only the figure beneath it mattered. She dropped to her knees, pushing the heavy limb to the side with all her strength. The rain drummed on her head, but the cold never registered. All she felt was heat rising from her panic. When the branch finally rolled away, she gasped. It was Charlie, the spirited little boy who had arrived with hope in his eyes just minutes ago. His face was pale, eyes tightly shut. Emma reached for his shoulder and shook him gently. Charlie! Can you hear me? He stirred slightly, a soft groan escaping his lips, and her heart dropped. She glanced up, searching for Jacob. He was just a few feet away, moving through the crowd, shouting for help, his expression a mix of fear and determination. It was like watching a firefly darting through the dark, so bright yet fragile, trying to light the way. Help! Can someone call an ambulance? Jacob's voice pierced through the chaos. Emma felt a surge of fear. They had wanted this day to be joyful, not a scene filled with panic and pain. Charlie, please, she urged, keeping her voice steady. Stay with me. Help is coming. She squeezed his hand, desperately willing warmth back into his fingers. She looked around instinctively. Parents were ushering their children away, fearful of the rain and the accident, but Emma couldn't move. She had to stay with Charlie. Breathe, she whispered, almost to herself. It felt like an eternity before Jacob was back at her side, desperation laced in his voice. He's unconscious. What if you can't think like that? Emma interrupted fiercely. We need to focus on him. She could feel the weight of Jacob's worry and anger as they both hovered over Charlie. Guys, is he okay? Asked a young girl, peering from behind her mother. He was just playing. Jacob hushed her gently. We're doing everything we can. Emma couldn't spare a glance at the fearful expressions surrounding them. Her entire focus was on Charlie, on the stillness of his body. "Come on, Charlie," she urged, wishing she could somehow transfer her strength to him. Then something unexpected happened. Charlie's eyelids fluttered open, slowly revealing his doe-like eyes. "Emma?" he croaked, voice barely above a whisper. Relief washed over Emma so blazingly that she felt lightheaded. "Hey, you're okay," she said, tears spilling down her cheeks, mixing with the rain. "Help is on the way." "What happened?" he murmured, blinking against the downpour. "You got knocked out by a branch." "You're going to be fine," she promised, her voice trembling. As sirens wailed in the distance, Emma and Jacob exchanged a glance. His expression had shifted from fear to fierce determination. The storm was still raging, but amidst the chaos, they found a shared resolve, a connection that surged with possibility. The paramedics arrived, swiftly taking control of the situation and lifting Charlie onto a stretcher. Emma's heart tightened at the sight. "You'll be all right, I promise," she called out, fighting against her own emotions. Jacob squeezed her shoulder. "We did good, Emma. We kept him safe." But even as she nodded, a single thought echoed in her mind. Was preserving their dreams still a possibility after this? Would their newfound bond withstand the storm and the unfolding shadows of life that lay ahead? As the ambulance drove away, Emma felt a profound shift within her. In that moment of crisis, her world had enlarged. Jacob stood next to her, shoulders squared against the rain, and she didn't want to be apart from him. But as they walked back under the shelter, the weight of uncertainty loomed overhead, heavy and dark. What lay ahead in this journey of emotions, trust, and the challenges yet to come? Emma held on to Jacob's hand, not wanting to let go, as a chilling thought struck her. If they survived this together, could their connection be strong enough to brave whatever storm was brewing next? The rain finally began to ease, its desperate patter transforming into a light drizzle that whispered against the pavement. Emma stood motionless beneath the shelter, watching Jacob's expression shift. He looked pensive, glancing into the distance where the ambulance had disappeared. A silence settled between them, heavy yet comforting. "Are you okay?" she asked, squeezing his hand a little tighter. She could sense the storm in his heart, the swirl of fear and relief. He turned to her, his gaze fierce yet soft. "I don't know," he replied, shaking his head slightly. "I thought, what if something worse had happened?" His voice cracked a little, the worry too raw to hide. It struck Emma how close they had come to losing everything, how fleeting life could be. "I thought we had lost him too," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "But we didn't. He's going to be all right." Emma tried to infuse her words with hope, but the nagging doubt lingered in her own heart. Jacob drew in a sharp breath. "We need to check on him, see how he's doing. I can't just stand here." "Okay," she agreed. There was urgency in his voice, and she felt it too. They rushed toward the hospital, the streets slick beneath their feet. Emma's heart raced not just from the rain-slicked pavement but from the electricity buzzing in the air between Jacob and her. As they approached the emergency entrance, the atmosphere became charged with tension. The stark lights glared down, illuminating the somber faces of others waiting in the lobby. Jacob's grip on her hand never slackened. It was like he was holding on to the connection that grounded them both. "I can't lose him, Emma." He's just a kid," Jacob said, his words tumbling out in a frantic rush. Emma could see the storm of emotions swirling in his eyes: fear, anger, hope. It tore at her heart. "I know," she replied softly. "But we did everything we could. We were there for him." They waited, each tick of the clock stretching seconds into a lifetime. Emma bit her lip, watching the entrance, wishing for any sign of good news. Every time someone entered or left, her heart would leap and then plummet again. Finally, after what felt like hours, a nurse emerged, clipboard in hand. Emma tightened her grip on Jacob's hand, exchanging a brief glance of worry. The nurse's smile was gentle, but it didn't erase the tension. "Charlie is stable," she announced. "He's awake and will be all right. Just a concussion, we're monitoring him." Relief flooded through Emma so powerfully it nearly knocked her off her feet. She felt Jacob's breath hitch beside her, the adrenaline releasing into sheer joy. They had saved Charlie just by being there, by not giving up. That's really great, Jacob said, stepping closer to Emma as they shared a moment of soft understanding. A promise unspoken flowed between them. Life was unpredictable, but together, they could face anything. Let's go see him, Emma suggested, her heart swelling with gratitude. They moved down the sterile hallway, the walls adorned with muted artwork, but all she could see was the door ahead. As they approached, a sense of wonder took hold. She felt a warmth radiating from Jacob, a solid strength that made her feel they could navigate whatever came next. The door opened, and sunlight spilled in, illuminating a small hospital room. Charlie lay in bed, propped up against crisp white sheets, a small bandage on his forehead. As soon as he saw them, a smile broke through his pale face, igniting their hearts with hope and relief. Emma. Jacob. You came. Of course we did, Emma replied, her voice lively with emotion. You scared us. But as Charlie laughed softly, a cloud of uncertainty still hung in the air. They were so close to joy, yet Emma felt a hesitant weight pressing on her chest. Would Charlie's recovery change everything? Would they all be different after this day? The warmth of the moment wrapped around her like a blanket, but there was still that little flicker of fear. Emma looked at Jacob, seeking reassurance, and she saw a reflection of her own uncertainty mirrored in his eyes. What were they truly facing now, and would they be okay? As she gently squeezed Jacob's hand, she wondered if they could turn this experience into something beautiful, and if that would be enough to hold everything together. Just then, the door opened again, revealing a figure they never expected to see. Emma's heart stopped. It was Charlie's mother, and her presence shattered the fragile peace they had just begun to build. What next storm would this encounter bring? Charlie's mother stood in the doorway, her expression a mix of worry and disbelief. A nagging feeling twisted in Emma's stomach as she noted the tension between the two. She had only ever heard stories about how Charlie's mother could be a fierce protector, but also a woman who had faced her share of trials. Charlie, she breathed, rushing forward with a mix of affection and fear. The embrace they shared looked warm and reassuring, yet Emma could feel the shadows spreading over the small room. Mom. I'm okay. Charlie said, his voice a little shaky but filled with a youthful bravado that made Emma smile. For a moment, it seemed like everything might just be all right, but then the weight of the situation settled back in, as if the air had thickened with unspoken words. Emma watched closely as Charlie's mother pulled back, examining him with careful eyes. You scared me, she whispered, the emotion raw and poignant. Jacob shifted beside Emma, and she could sense his growing discomfort. Mom, this is Emma and Jacob, Charlie introduced them, his voice bright with gratitude. They helped me a lot. Thank you, she said, her gaze lingering on Emma and then Jacob. But Emma could see the questions swirling behind those eyes, the apprehensions about who had saved her child and how much they really knew about him. We just wanted to make sure he was okay, Jacob said, trying to bridge the distance. We were worried. She nodded slowly, but the skepticism didn't leave her face. Worried enough to put yourselves in danger? You shouldn't be running around in the rain at night. Emma felt her pulse quicken. It felt unfair, being on the receiving end of a mother's protective instincts, but at the same time, it was rightful. She flashed Jacob a quick glance, searching for guidance. Actually, we saw him fall, Jacob explained gently. We called for help right away. Charlie was brave. That doesn't make it any easier to see him like this. The tension hung in the air between them, thick with the weight of what had happened. Emma could feel her heart thrumming, as if echoing the conflicting emotions spinning in the room. Mom, I'm here now, Charlie said, trying to soothe her. I'm okay. That's what matters, right? He smiled, that bright, familiar smile that Emma adored, but she could see the fear dancing in his eyes. It had to be a strange experience for him too, a convergence of happiness and unease, Charlie's mom took a shaky breath and nodded, though doubt still knitted her brow. Yes, but this doesn't end here. I need to know that you're safe, Charlie. Emma ventured a step closer. We're here for him. We'll make sure he stays safe. The words felt powerful as they slipped from her lips. She believed them wholeheartedly. But Charlie's mother simply eyed her, as if weighing the truth in her sincerity. The silence between them stretched, and Emma felt as if she was standing on the precipice of something big. It felt as though one misstep could plunge everything into chaos. Just then, a nurse popped her head into the room, breaking the charged moment. Excuse me, we need to run a few more tests. Just to be safe. Emma watched as the nurse guided the moment's energy away from their tense standoff. With a gentle hand, Charlie's mother turned toward the exit, but the look she shot Emma was piercing, pregnant with unasked questions and lingering doubt. As they left, Emma turned to Jacob. Do you think she blames us? The uncertainty in her voice betrayed her fear. I don't know, he replied softly, worry etched into his features. But we'll find a way through this. We have to. Emma nodded, but a chill crept into her thoughts. As they stepped outside, the last of the rain began to fall. The clouds still hung low in the sky, heavy with unspent storms. Would this moment cast an even longer shadow over the bond she shared with Charlie and Jacob? She sensed that they had only just begun to unravel the tangled threads of their lives. What would it take to weave new ties amidst the uncertainty? Would they forge ahead or find themselves trapped in the web of what had just transpired? The answer lingered in the air like the fading scent of rain, waiting to be discovered. As Emma stepped out into the damp night, the cool breeze wrapped around her like a blanket, but it didn't ease the warmth of anxiety snaking through her veins. The hospital lights spilled onto the pavement, casting flickering shadows that danced unsettlingly at her feet. She couldn't shake the image of Charlie's mother, the protective glare, the volatility of her emotions. Everything felt precarious. Let's grab some air, Jacob suggested, his voice steady despite the trembling atmosphere. He led her toward a small outdoor area where a few plastic chairs waited under the flickering lights. Their paths had crossed under extraordinary circumstances, and now, as they both stood on the cusp of something undefined, Emma could sense the pull of the moment. Did you see the way she looked at us? Emma asked, dropping into a chair, her fingers fiddling with the hem of her shirt. I can almost feel the weight of her doubt. Jacob sat beside her, leaning forward, resting his elbows on his knees. We did what we could, Emma. We can't control how she feels. All we can do is be here for Charlie. His calm didn't seep into her. Instead, it deepened the knot in her stomach. The uncertainty loomed larger, shadowing her thoughts. But what if she never trusts us? What if this changes everything between us? Between Charlie and me? The night felt heavy with unsaid words, and the world around them faded into silence, amplifying their predicament. You think she's judging us? Jacob asked softly, concern tracing his voice. I think she's scared, Emma replied, her heart racing. And who wouldn't he be? I mean, what if I'm not enough for Charlie? What if I can't be there for him when it really matters? Jacob turned to her, his expression shifting from concern to determination. Then we show her. We show both of them. We won't give up. Not now. You're stronger than you think. And Charlie needs that strength. A small smile tugged at Emma's lips at his encouragement, though that familiar anxiety remained. Just then, a figure caught her eye. It was a nurse, walking quickly towards them. The clipboard she clutched looked heavy in her hands. Excuse me? The nurse called out as she approached, urgency lacing her tone. Could you please come with me? Charlie needs you. Before she could reply, Emma shot up from her chair, heart racing. What happened? She could feel Jacob at her side, ready to follow, the adrenaline coursing through them both. Just come, please. The nurse turned and hurried back toward the hospital entrance, leading them through sterile corridors. Emma's mind raced. She fought the thoughts spiraling out of control. Was something wrong? Had he gotten worse? In that moment of frantic steps, a sense of purpose began to push back her fears. "We'll go in together," Jacob said firmly, sensing her hesitation. With every stride toward Charlie's room, Emma's mind flickered to the weight of decisions ahead. What kind of support did Charlie truly need beyond this moment? Was she even ready to be part of his life in the way he might want? They reached the door, and the nurse stopped, her demeanor professional but her eyes betraying a hint of compassion. "He's been asking for you both. He seems restless." Emma nodded, swallowing hard. As they stepped into the warm light of the room, she was met with Charlie's expectant gaze. The uncertainty, the possible chasms that lay ahead, couldn't be allowed to overshadow what brought them all here, the connection, the bond forged under adversity. "Hey," she said softly, a smile blooming on her face despite the questions swirling in her mind. Charlie looked from Emma to Jacob, a hint of relief washing over his features. "I was worried you wouldn't come back." His innocence struck deep within her. Could they truly amp up their commitment, care, and courage enough to weather the storms? Emma reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. "We're not going anywhere." But as she held his hand, the door creaked open behind them. Emma's heart dropped when she saw who entered, Charlie's mother, her face set with determination mixed with concern. What would her arrival mean for the fragile bond they had started building? In that split second, the stakes had risen. Emma inhaled slowly, ready to confront the whirlwind ahead. The real battle was just beginning. Would trust be rebuilt, or would doubt tear them apart? Emma's heart raced, a thundering reminder of the tension in the room. Charlie's mother, Elise, stood at the threshold, her framed presence filling the space with a mix of authority and sadness. The air stilled, thick with unspoken words that pulsed like a live wire. "Charlie," Elise spoke, her voice strained but gentle. She approached her son, brushing a stray hair from his forehead. "How are you feeling?" "I'm okay, Mom," Charlie replied, his voice strong but laced with uncertainty as he glanced toward Emma, then back to his mother. It was as if he was trying to gauge the mood, to read the lines drawn in the sand. Elise's gaze flickered between Emma and Jacob, evaluating them like pieces on a chessboard. "I appreciate you both being here," she finally said, hesitating. "But I need to understand what's going on." Emma exchanged a worried glance with Jacob. They had set out to be a source of comfort for Charlie, not to invite scrutiny from the one person so vital to his well-being. "We just want to help," Emma said softly, her voice trembling. "Charlie means a lot to us." Elise's intensity softened slightly at the honesty in Emma's words. "I know he does. But these situations are fragile." "You have to understand that I do," Charlie interjected, his voice rising with a passion Emma didn't expect. "Emma and Jacob are here for me. They care. That's enough." He looked at his mother with determination, the bravery of a boy who had fought through so much. "You need to trust me, Mom. I want them here." Emma felt the surge of hope rise in her chest as she listened to him speak. Could this be the moment that shifted everything? She squeezed Charlie's hand again, feeling the warmth of his thin fingers wrapped around hers. Elise sighed, her instincts battling with her need to protect. "This is so hard for me, Charlie. I can't just stand back." Her face tightened, revealing the conflict beneath her tone. "The doctor said it's his decision," Jacob said, his voice steady and calm. "We're here to support him. That's all he needs. Your support, too." Elise's expression softened just a fraction, but uncertainty shadowed her eyes. "You both are young. You don't know how complicated this is. You don't have to be involved in everything. It's my job to take care of him." "But I want them involved," Charlie insisted. "They're my friends. And I need friends now more than ever." The battle was palpable in the room. Emma held her breath, her worry for Charlie mixing with her instinct to defend him. Would this be a breaking point or a bridge to rebuilding trust? The silence seemed to stretch on forever. After what felt like an eternity, Elise winced, allowing herself to soften completely. Okay, she finally said, her voice quieter, almost vulnerable. If that's what you truly want, I'll try. But I need you both to promise to be careful with him. Of course, Emma replied, a rush of relief flooding through her. We'll do everything to protect him. Charlie turned to Emma, a flicker of joy lighting up his face. See? It'll be okay, he said. We're all going to figure this out together. Just like that, the tide shifted. Emma felt a weight lift, and she leaned back a little, her heart swelling at the sight of Charlie's smile. Maybe, just maybe, this was a moment they could build upon, but even as they basked in this tentative victory, a thought crept into Emma's mind, one that felt like a shiver in the sunlight. What if her bond with Charlie got stronger, but at the price of her relationship with Elise? In that moment, the door swung open again, this time revealing a doctor, his expression serious. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to discuss Charlie's treatment plan, he said, breaking the fragile moment. Emma's heart sank. What new challenges lay ahead, and how would they hold together in the face of what was yet to come? The air was thick with uncertainty again, but this time, they would face it as a team. As Emma locked eyes with Jacob, she felt the quiet assurance pass between them. Their journey was still unfolding, yet they were ready for whatever came next. Together, they would navigate the storm. But what would that storm bring? The doctor stepped further into the room, clipboard in hand, his demeanor shifted to a more professional tone. Charlie, I know this is a difficult time for you and your family. We need to discuss your options moving forward. His gaze flickered to Elise, her tension palpable as she leaned forward, ready to absorb every word. Charlie nodded, but Emma saw the way his fingers tightened around hers. She gave him a reassuring squeeze, trying to steady the storm brewing within him. What do we need to know? Elise asked, her voice slightly strained but laced with an undertone of care that echoed her willingness to cooperate. First, we need to assess what the coming weeks look like. We will be starting a treatment protocol that involves both medication and therapy, the doctor explained, his tone imparting both professionalism and empathy. This will be a gradual process, with some trial and error as we figure out what works best. Emma could see Charlie's face pale slightly at the mention of medication. What kind of side effects should I expect? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Some patients experience fatigue, nausea, and changes in mood. We'll monitor you closely, and you can always communicate any concerns to the nursing staff or me, the doctor assured him. But Emma could see that Charlie felt the weight of uncertainty hanging over him, just like the sterile light bulbs hanging from the ceiling. Elise's eyes softened as she looked at Charlie, the fear evident in both their expressions. It's going to be okay, she said, her voice much gentler now. We'll tackle this together. It's important to keep your support system close during this time, the doctor added, nodding slightly towards Emma and Jacob. Friends who understand what you're going through can be immensely helpful. His words felt like a warm embrace to Emma. They were being recognized, acknowledged not just as kids, but as allies in Charlie's fight. Yet a chill crept over her. Would Elise ever fully accept their role? After the doctor finished laying out the treatment plan, an air of unsteadiness returned as they faced the reality of what lay ahead. Charlie sat quietly, processing the information while his mother brushed her fingers over his hand, offering comfort silently. I don't want to be a burden to you guys, Charlie finally said, his eyes downcast. I don't want you to feel like you have to stick around because you feel sorry for me. Don't say that, Jacob replied, leaning forward. We care about you, man. You're not a burden. We want to be here. But Charlie's voice trailed off, a mix of emotions flickering in his eyes: fear, vulnerability, and maybe even hope. Listen, we're not going anywhere, Emma interjected, her heart aching for him. Even on the rough days, we'll be right here by your side. No matter how hard it gets. Charlie looked up at her, a hint of gratitude sparked in his gaze, but it was quickly overshadowed by the weight of his challenges. Elise turned to Jacob and Emma. "Thank you for your support. I know this won't be easy for any of us." As the conversation faded, a heaviness settled in, looming over them like a dark cloud. Emma felt the impending storm gathering strength. Would they be able to weather it together, or would the pressure split them apart? She glanced at Jacob, his expression reflecting her own uncertainty, yet wrapped in some strange mix of defiance and resilience. Together they were armed with a resolve that felt electric against the darkness. But just then, Charlie's gaze fell back to the doctor, fear returning. "What if I can't handle it? What if I just want to run away?" Emma's throat tightened around her words, choking on the raw reality of his pain. She wanted to scream that it would be okay, but deep down, the truth was more complicated than that. The doctor sighed softly, recognizing the struggle. "Sometimes it's okay to feel lost, everyone does. But you don't have to face it alone. That's the first step." As they all absorbed his words, Emma's mind raced with a question that had taken root. Was it really enough to just hold on and support Charlie? Would it be enough for her to build bridges where fear threatened to erect walls? The atmosphere hung thick with unknowing, and she realized their greatest challenge might not be the treatment itself, but the emotional battles they had yet to face. Could love stretch far enough to break through the darkness? Emma gazed into the future, a thread of hope weaving through her heart, propelling her forward. But what other obstacles awaited them on this uncharted journey? The hospital room felt smaller than ever as Emma, Jacob, and Charlie faced the uncertainty bubbling around them. The air was thick with unresolved feelings, hopes, and fears. Emma held Charlie's hand tightly, willing him to understand that every word she had spoken about being there for him wasn't just lip service. "Charlie," Jacob said, leaning closer, "you're not alone. We're a team now, and we'll navigate the hard stuff together." Charlie looked from Jacob to Emma, his youthful eyes glimmering with a cocktail of emotions: fear, gratitude, and a spark of hope. "Really?" he whispered, searching for the truth behind their words. Emma nodded firmly, feeling a surge of protective warmth for him. "Absolutely. You mean so much to us, and you have no idea how strong you truly are." Just then, Elise, Charlie's mother, stepped closer, her face softened by the truth in Emma's declaration. She could see her son's vulnerability, and it mirrored the fear she had held deep within her heart. "I think he needs that support," she said, her voice gentler now. "I've never seen him connect with anyone like this." Emma felt a grin creeping across her face. "We're not going anywhere, I promise." The atmosphere shifted, tension eased a fraction, and somewhere beneath the weight of the moment, there was a sense of unity forming, a fragile but tangible thread binding them all together. Charlie lifted his head, vulnerabilities giving way to a hint of a smile. "Then I'll try my best to handle it, if you're all with me." "Together," Jacob affirmed, as Elise nodded, her acceptance apparent in her eyes. As they sat together, discussing the upcoming treatment plan, Emma began to feel a quiet surge of confidence. This was not simply about facing Charlie's illness. This was about creating a support network that could thrive through adversity. They were becoming something greater than themselves, a family of sorts, built on trust, shared dreams, and the enduring warmth of connection. Days turned to weeks, and Jacob and Emma kept their promise. They navigated through hospital visits, therapy sessions, and late-night phone calls, supporting Charlie in ways that stretched far beyond mere friendship. In hospital rooms painted pale green with sterile light, they shared laughter, stories, and even moments of silence that echoed with understanding. Emma saw Charlie grow, feel stronger, and begin to understand that while storms are unpredictable, the rays of sunshine that follow are worth holding on to. One evening, as the golden glow of the setting sun spilled like honey through the hospital window, they gathered around Charlie's bed. "I'm ready to face whatever comes next," he said, eyes shining with a fierce determination. "With you guys, I know I can be brave." Emma's heart swelled at his words. This was the realization that had been building since that chaotic day at the park. They were not just surviving, they were transforming. As they continued cheering him on, Elise entered, her expression softer than it had ever been. "Charlie, I'm proud of you," she said, her voice thick with emotion as she met Emma's gaze. "Thank you for being there for him." "Thank you for trusting us," Emma replied, her sincerity shining through. Life gradually found a new rhythm. The storm clouds that had once hung heavy finally began to lift. Jacob and Emma found joy in the small moments, sharing coffee in the waiting room, laughing through funny stories, and even celebrating each step of Charlie's journey to recovery together. One sunny day, they stepped outside the hospital to a sea of laughter, lightness, everything that felt like hope. Charlie ran ahead towards the playground, bursting with energy. "Look at him," Jacob said, smiling with pride. Emma's heart felt full, expanded by the love they had cultivated. They had gone through the fire, and here they stood stronger, more united than ever. "Could you ever have imagined we'd end up here?" Emma quipped, nudging Jacob playfully. He chuckled, the warmth of their shared laughter blending with the soft afternoon breeze. "Together, we can brave anything." As they moved toward the laughter of children playing, Emma felt the weight of fear lift completely from her chest. Life had transformed them. They had risen through each tumultuous moment to a place filled with hope and light. "This is just the beginning," she whispered, confident of what lay ahead. And as shadows of uncertainty began to fade into the distance, she knew one thing was true: love, support, and friendship could conquer any storm. Now, let us seize the moment. If you felt even a spark of inspiration from this story, you need to subscribe now to the channel. You can't afford to miss out. Hit that like button to help us reach more hearts. Dive into the comments and share your thoughts about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this incredible transformation. This is the moment to show your support.